As if they don't have too much on their plates. The Kings of Combat Sports Podcast, John and Wade. They'll talk about the things they did that day. They'll analyze the work of Vince and Triple H. Review a SmackDown. Review a SmackDown. SmackDown. Review a SmackDown. Review a SmackDown. Review a SmackDown. SmackDown. Review a SmackDown.
Welcome to Review-A-SMACKDOwn. I am John Pollock along with Wai Ting.
Yeah. It's me.
Sporting a old t-shirt, which is, of course, Wai doesn't wear anything that's less than 18 years old. This is CIUT 88.1?
No, 89.5.
89.5. Close enough.
Yeah. 88.1 is CKLN, which is the
That's what I'm thinking
the
of.
Ryerson station.
Yes.
Which no longer, I guess it's the indie station right now, but it's not Ryerson anymore.
Does your shirt say 1995 below it? Oh, no, it says 89.5, hence
Yeah.
the dial. All right. Well, I like your shirt. It looks nice.
Hey, thank you.
You look very fresh. How's it going?
Good, man. Good. How are your ears?
Wonderful. You went to SmackDown on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Correct?
I did.
Did you enjoy the show?
Yeah. What? That's it?
No.
You seem like you had something more to say about your ears than
No.
just wonderful.
No, not really.
Really?
It's in a bit of pain. I won't lie.
Why?
I don't know. I explained this on Monday. It's I've got this pain in my ear. Found out that when you have your ear flushed, it can be done improperly if the temperature of the water is not correct, or if they hit something with too much force. I think that could be the issue.
Okay. So is that the issue, that you've kind of flushed too hard?
Well, I'm saying that's one theory. Could be.
Maybe you should go back and actually get this checked out.
Maybe I should. But I don't have time.
So I know you've kind of, we've been talking about ear flushing lately, but are you familiar with nose flushing?
Ew, no. Oh, kind of. Is it where you put a balloon in your nose?
I don't know. I don't know if there's more of a actual technical scientific nose flushing. But
I've just seen this because Cody Garbrandt has done this on camera, where
Really?
he goes to get his nasal passages cleared out, and it's frightening. They put a balloon on the tip of this thing that just instantly expands the balloon in your nostril, and it is incredibly painful, but it opens up your nasal passages for breathing. And they did this on The Ultimate Fighter, and they did this on one of the Embedded episodes.
I would love to try it, because
it looks so painful.
well,
but
instead of the balloon, I don't know if you've heard of the Navage nose cleaner.
I have heard of Navage.
Have you heard of the Navage nose cleaner?
Yes.
I saw a video for this the other day, and man, I've been watching review videos of the Navage, of people trying out the Navage for the first time.
Okay, you do know this ad airs constantly on the Fight Network.
Yeah,
Okay,
I know.
Just
for
want you
people
to
who
be
haven't seen
familiar.
it, it's like basically you're it's like water torture, but voluntarily. So you stick this machine with like a
Voluntary waterboarding.
yeah. So there's this machine with like water that pumps out, and two little holes for your nostrils, and you stick it up your nose. And you hit a button, and it flushes water in through one nostril and out the other. And the idea is that it flushes your sinuses in ways that I guess regular nose blowing can't do. I realize I constantly have stuffy noses.
Okay.
For whatever reason. So
Have you invested in the Navage?
no, they're expensive. They're they come with like saltwater packs that you have to replenish.
Oh my God.
So these things are like $100. But if Navage is listening, they want a live review on a wrestling
you're
podcast.
willing to do this?
I'm willing to do this on air.
Okay.
It's disgusting though. You see,
Maybe-
you see the little puddles, like the boogers flush into the bottom
this is getting gross.
tray.
Maybe Pro Wrestling Crate can do a
What wrestler?
nasal passage.
What wrestler would they theme the Navage?
No one's done a nasal blockage as an injury angle, have they?
So a wrestler will just like plug a dude's nose.
Hey,
like,
be really smart.
hard. He can't breathe.
You know.
So his gas.
Kenny Omega knows that he went 60 minutes with Okada. It's like, how can I affect his conditioning? Go after the nasal passage. Forget all these
Yeah.
dragon suplexes on the neck. The guy's impervious to this stuff.
You know what?
Let's block his nasals. His nasal passage flow will be affected.
I think it'd be a lot. The G1 would probably be a lot safer if we started working. That's the next level of psychology.
Yeah.
You know, how do we? Maybe somebody will stick a finger in another man's ear to block his ears, so that his balance is fucked up.
Knock off his equilibrium.
Yeah.
I mean, we had Booker T and Stevie Ray. They would always wear the nose.
Yeah.
The things to.
How come they never?
That would like open up your nose.
True. How come they never made it an angle where somebody's ripped off that breathe right
The guy's like, he just starts like,
he's like,
he gasses.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And then they lose.
That would be awesome. Like a guy's in a sleeper hold,
Yeah.
and then his partner pulls the thing
Yeah.
off, and then he just taps.
And then like they distract the ref, and all of a sudden like Stevie Ray or Sherry takes out a Navage nose cleaner, and they do the Navage outside the ring when the ref's not looking.
God, Harlem Heat. They really came along ahead of their time.
What happened? Why don't people use those breathe right things anymore?
I'm sure some athletes do.
I never see them.
I mean, it wasn't really prevalent in pro wrestling, which would be my best course of action. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't even be allowed to use it in a mixed martial arts fight.
Did they just like end up like
Maybe they turned out to be bullshit.
Yeah, maybe.
That's how many things
So
turn
they
out.
still sell them at like drugstores.
This could
I'd
be,
realize.
you know,
They're
years
expensive.
from now, people will probably look at the Kinesio tape and maybe someone's going to debunk this as just total placebo effect.
Could be.
And no one's going to, and everyone will laugh at these stupid people coming out with tape all over themselves.
I guarantee you, people will laugh at somebody sticking a fucking water cooler into their nose.
Yes, 20 years from now, people will be laughing at you on video doing this.
I want to do it, actually.
look-
Maybe we'll try it together.
Look at 2017.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the pioneer era. Well, Wei, do you want to feel really old? Do you know what happened 18 years ago today? 18 years.
1999? SummerSlam 1999.
It was 2 weeks before SummerSlam 1999,
Oh, okay.
with one Chris Jericho making his big debut.
Right. Wow.
18 years ago.
You know, that doesn't make me feel that old.
Well, it makes Chris Jericho's career is now, eligible to vote?
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
And what a
that is
big
interesting.
event they were getting ready for. SummerSlam 1999.
Yep.
Which I've thrown it out there on the message board for our feedback this week. Was it the worst SummerSlam ever? And if not, which one is?
I don't know if it was the worst ever, but that's a good question.
To me, it's bottom 3 or 4.
Huh. You're not a fan of the Billy Gunn The Rock match?
I have not rewatched that yet.
Okay.
So we'll discuss this Friday. And we will have a debate on maybe you should look up some of the cards and come to me with your 3 worst SummerSlams and see if 1999 cracks
I'm so
it.
bad at that.
Just
I'm
look
not
at the
good at
card.
this. Okay, sure.
I almost feel that the first one, it was almost this experimental pay-per-view that, I mean, the first one is nothing special at all. I feel that's almost, it's pure nostalgia of being the first SummerSlam that would prevent you from saying it's the worst one ever, because it's a pretty bad show. It's a nothing show. It's almost a house show, but it's on pay-per-view. So let's go to SmackDown. Well, you did on Tuesday night.
You did too, kind of.
Oh, boy.
You want to talk about that?
Sure.
You ended up going to the Air Canada Centre 3 times in the span of 24 hours.
All I'm going to say is, I think I was a pretty great friend on Tuesday. Was I not?
You were. So, John had some tickets under his name, and we had decided that John would go to Raw and I would go to SmackDown. But unfortunately, John had to be there to pick up the tickets. And unfortunately, on top of that, he couldn't pick up these tickets on the Monday. You had to go there on Tuesday.
Yes. So a few weeks back, I just put in my request for tickets because I didn't know which of us was going to go,
Yeah.
if you and I were just going to go, what the deal was. So they got back to me like late last week that no problem, you got your tickets, very nice of them. But they're under my name. So I was hopeful that on the Monday that I was going to, I'd just grab both sets, give you yours on Tuesday, no problem. So I go Monday, and yes, as Wei said, I'm told, yeah, you have to come back tomorrow to pick up the SmackDown tickets. It's like, okay, well, that's not fun. So anyway, I attempted to get them changed to just be under your name. That was not going to happen. So on Tuesday, the problem was, going to the arena was one thing, but also I was supposed to play baseball way up north in the city for 6:30. So getting to the ACC, I was hopeful because during the day, me and my wife, we had to take our baby for a checkup. We were in the middle point anyway. So my wife was just like, let's just, whatever. He's sleeping in the car. Let's just drive there. It's like, okay, if you don't mind, let's just go by. It was like 3 p.m. Can grab the tickets, easily get them to you. No problem. I get there. I'm told they will not be dropped off till at least 5 o'clock. I was like, okay, that's great. So that means I'm not only leaving without the tickets, that means I'm coming back here again. Hopeful that in these 2 hours, maybe I will hear back and say, and be told that they're under Wai's name. That's what I was hopeful of because I had sent a few messages. Get home. That does not happen. I drive way back to the Air Canada Centre.
Yeah.
We get there right at 5. It is a mess because it's not late enough that the wrestling fans are really piling up, but there is a Jays-Yankees game going on where that crowd is starting to form that we're navigating through. Thankfully, the tickets were there right at 5. No problem. They were under my name, so whatever. At least I was there. I was very happy when I got these tickets.
You made your baseball game?
I got the tickets to you, and then after getting out of that insanity at the Air Canada Centre, I not only got to baseball, I was early. So I even stopped off and got a coffee for myself as a treat for myself.
How nice.
So everything worked out.
Yes.
But it was... I did not want to miss this baseball game, and I wanted to get these tickets to you.
You were very stressed out, and
On top of that, I will also say, I almost had like this gift thrown upon me because
you got to see me.
Well, of course, Wai. That's the gift that keeps on giving, like Navage. But in the media section, another friend of ours, Mike Bond, was going solo, and I was like, if I didn't have this baseball game, I could have just taken this ticket, gone and stayed. To be honest, I really didn't want to do 2 straight nights, and I wanted one of us to be there, one of us to watch at home, and I wanted to go to this baseball game. All worked out in the end, but it was a long day of going to the ACC multiple times.
The things that we do.
This is where you tell me that Braden didn't show up.
No, he did. I went with Braden Harrington, and we had a good time. Yeah, we did some pre-drinking beforehand at a friend's place. That's why I missed the dark match. But I got there for SmackDown 8 o'clock.
What a party when Wai goes.
Oh my God, no, it was a lot. I had fun. I had a good time.
How was Braden? Did he buy any shirts? Did he go crazy? Was he embarrassing?
He bought some beers. He didn't buy any shirts. No. Although they were selling AJ Styles fidget spinners.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for $10.
$10. I'm surprised they're that cheap. I didn't know the WWE sold anything for $10.
AJ Styles, I guess of all the wrestlers, you would pick a high flyer for a fidget spinner, right? He's the most spinny of the wrestlers, I would assume.
You could have a whole 205 Live line if you had people that the audience wanted to invest money in.
TJP fidget spinner. Would you not want one of those?
Oh, I would love one. I would personally rather a talking action figure of TJP.
Oh, au contraire, mon frère.
Oh, all his catchphrases.
Yeah.
You could rotate in the arms, dab. What a...
Braden was dabbing up a storm in this TJP match.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised he stayed for 205 Live, to be honest.
It was his first time watching 205 Live, he said.
So did you stay for... So it was 205 Live and then a dark match afterwards,
Correct.
Right? And it wasn't a 6-man tag. Cena was not involved. It was just a tag match.
Yes.
It was what, Nakamura and Styles?
Nakamura and Styles taking on Baron Corbin and Kevin Owens.
That's not bad.
And we'll discuss it.
Okay. So SmackDown kicked off. The first words, not welcome to SmackDown Live, not we are here in Toronto. No, it was Tom Phillips stating, actions always have consequences. Welcome to SmackDown Live.
What actions?
I don't know what this was in reference to. Maybe Orton and Jinder, but it just seemed like such a vague theme to the show. Actions always have consequences.
I mean, that's kind of something you could say about anything in existence.
John Cena came out. The crowd is all singing along. John Cena sucks. As Tom reminds us, this is Bizarro World. This would never happen in any other city. and they discuss
Happens in every city, actually.
Exactly. So there was nothing bizarre about this world. They discussed the suplex onto Cena's neck last week, and Cena goes over his loss to Shinsuke Nakamura, and the boos quickly turn to a pro-Cena chant. Then he calls himself Super Cena. The crowd boos right as the director cuts to a smiling child who is just loving this and applauding. Super Cena in living color. He admits he lost totally clean with no blind referee, no interference, not even a Montreal screw job. Which, man, it's been a while, and they had to really wring the water out of that towel on Tuesday night.
Lots of reference.
They saved all the screw job references for tonight. They spared us on Raw. He notes that he doesn't lose like that often, and he shook Nakamura's hand. Just, to me, really solidified your title challenger. That here's Cena stating, Nakamura beat me. No excuses. And I thought this was like a continuation of last week of a really big endorsement of Nakamura as the number one contender, the undisputed number one contender.
Yeah, I mean, whether or not the original plan, because there were some reports that the finish actually got changed and Cena was supposed to lose via Baron Corbin.
Yeah, well, that's the recap that had gone up on the WWE website with the explanation of Corbin running in before the finish instead of after.
Right. But, I mean, I'm sure at some point they decided, hey, let's get this guy to have a clean win over John Cena. I'm sure Cena himself was for it, and he emphasized the clean loss here in order to really take advantage of what they did.
Which, when you go through the history of guys at Cena's level, I think there's very few that would have, gone with that finish, and also this promo afterwards.
Sure. What good is the clean loss if you don't remind everybody?
This wasn't diminished. It wasn't like a wink to the audience. It was not this guy trying to get his heat back. It was like the total professional that sees Nakamura as the focus above him going into SummerSlam. He's interrupted by Baron Corbin with his, I guess they just ripped out all these new themes of late because we got a new Baron Corbin song. Did you download this yet?
No, I
don't know if it's on Spotify.
It's currently downloading. I'm on dial-up, so it'll take like a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
New entrance, new music.
Yes. So he came out. He's sick of hearing about that handshake and their dream match from last week. Says Cena should respect him as the future because he'll make Cena the past. Cena called him a skinny, fat, loudmouth dumpster fire.
Yeah. The reason he said dumpster fire, I think, was because of a sign in the crowd.
Yes, he pointed to the sign that called him a dumpster fire.
Do you know who made the sign?
Tell me.
It was Stephen Wright.
Oh,
do you know him?
Yes, I do.
He was like dead center. And
he had a Smash Wrestling sign as well.
He and his girlfriend had a Smash Wrestling sign, so shout outs to the two of them.
Oh my goodness. So he'll have a story forever now.
Oh my God, yeah.
So, yeah, he just played off of this sign here and got in the skinny fat line, which was a line that Hunter once used on CM Punk.
I guess Corbin kind of has that. I was playing WWE 2K16 beforehand, and they actually had
this was a real party. The pre-SmackDown
Corbin's belly button, like the weird kind of mesmerizing belly button, is digitized in the video game as well.
It's digitized.
Well, meaning like it's represented in the video game.
Well, you've got to have all the attention to detail.
Yeah.
So he tells Corbin to sashay down here. We were going to get a sashaying.
What is that exactly? What is sashaying? What does that look like?
You can look up the exact definition. I imagine it means to make your way.
Like a waltz?
Sure. Sashay.
Or like, okay.
Now I want to picture Baron Corbin performing whatever this definition is. Corbin declines as fans actually were chanting dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Amazing.
They were.
He says Cena has nothing he wants or needs, which is kind of throws into question why he has been so involved with this guy.
Corbin, you mean?
Yes.
Oh.
I understand the issues with Nakamura, but anyway, what prompted him to come out here?
What else did he say?
He says all he needs is the WWE title. Cena's not worth his time, but it clearly was because he went out of his way to interrupt this segment.
And last week.
So he needs something.
Right, yeah.
And then Daniel Bryan comes out to an enormous reception, plugged Toronto, and then made the match for SummerSlam. And not to say this is the greatest little attention to detail, but I like the fact that he just said, you know, you usually get that reaction when you're making a big match for a future date. The crowd there is upset. I don't think they were upset they weren't getting this match. But Bryan stated, because Corbin is not dressed to compete tonight, this has to be at SummerSlam.
I took issue with that, though, because the man wore the same thing in the dark match at the end of the night. So he was clearly dressed.
Although that doesn't count. Dark matches don't count.
He was dressed here. Like, he didn't wear anything different than he typically wears in a match.
Well, these were probably just workout pants. They weren't competition. They weren't regulation.
He had pants and boots, just like how he typically wrestles.
So he should have come out with
You're clearly like he actually
maybe
Brian
a bathing suit and a Mai Tai.
Like, I don't know what Brian's expecting. Maybe he doesn't watch Corbin typically wrestle, but this man wrestles in jeans and a t-shirt. So how is he not dressed?
All right, well, you killed that point. So that's the match at SummerSlam. Cena's obviously, I don't know how he's doing this movie with all these dates.
I imagine he'll have a very safe match at SummerSlam. You know, probably nothing too. You
know, who knows? I don't think he's going to go any less. I don't think this is not a big featured match at SummerSlam. Yeah. I feel this is going to be 10, 12 minutes.
SummerSlam is such a big show that I think Cena still holds the WWE as a major priority for himself, and the company does.
Well,
so they need him.
I don't doubt he wants to do all these shows. He's doing all these shows. I just question, how are you in a lead role in this movie and able to do all of this? The logistics of it.
CGI. That's how.
I guess so.
See those movies?
Maybe there's less of his time needed on set.
Yeah, he's working with robots. He's talking to air, basically. You just have to pop up a green screen in any town that they're in, and you could do the movie like that.
Oh, it's that easy.
Yeah.
All right. I'll say, you look at SummerSlam as the number 3 show of the year. I think that's what people would acknowledge.
In my mind, I still feel like it's supposed to be number 2 simply because of the time frame. Meaning, like, Rumble, I always look at it as sort of a lead up, a precursor to WrestleMania, and therefore SummerSlam, I almost feel like it is a secondary WrestleMania more so than the Rumble is. But I know what you mean in terms of business.
Yeah,
SummerSlam
okay.
is number 3.
You can say I think Rumble and SummerSlam, it depends on what they have each year. You can argue either one. But to me, it's at worst number 3 of the year. And you look at Cena's Mania program and to this, I think that there's a lot of matches this year where it's pairings that don't exactly excite you on paper.
Yeah.
But at least on some of them, okay, there's a storyline reason for it. This one, it's just 2 guys thrown together on 2 weeks' notice. It feels very similar to what they have. I mean, Nakamura and Jinder, no interaction on this show. Next week's the last show before SummerSlam. It just feels like we have a bunch of guys that you look at, and I think the pairings people were hopeful of, like a Styles Cena or a Styles Nakamura, it's lesser matches you are getting. Or matches like Styles Owens where you've seen them.
Seen them many times. Yeah, I agree with you. This feels less like it's a mini WrestleMania and more like, honestly, another B-level show, on paper at least. I'll say it was really interesting to study Toronto's reaction to John Cena. I mean, you got the dueling chants, but I would say he was primarily booed. It was hot both ways. The kids were cheering really loud. The adults were booing him. But once Baron Corbin came out, people all cheered Cena because I think people are conditioned to boo Cena, but they recognize at this point how talented and how hard he works. So despite him getting boos, I think almost everybody respects him, even if you can say that you're not a fan of his character. But Corbin is not somebody who has earned that respect yet. So you pair Corbin in contrast with Cena, everybody's cheering Cena.
I think Cena is one of my favorite characters in the WWE. He's in this like legend position now, and it's, to me, he's like the ultimate babyface, and I think it totally works. And I think since going to SmackDown last year, You see less of him. I mean, the guy's been having great matches forever. And I really like this role now and he's not around all the time. So it does feel special when he's there.
Exactly. The fact that he stated that he won't be around for too much longer, I think people are starting to, maybe cherish his presence a little bit more. Let me just also say, in between these matches, they were any mention of Jinder. In Cena's promo here, or even in the graphic going to break, the place went nuts. For every appearance of Jinder Mahal.
There's a huge Indian population in Toronto, and I was curious because Jinder was the one sent out Tuesday to do all the media.
Also, the dude's Canadian, and nobody in the building, like almost everybody in the building, recognizes that fact. So it was like another Canadian coming back to his home country with the belt.
Yes, there's a great lineage of Indians from Canada in the WWF with Tiger Ali Singh.
That's right.
Starting that trend.
Actually, every Indian has almost been Canadian. The Singh brothers.
Mm-hmm. The Singh brothers were not there on Tuesday night.
They were backstage.
Hanging out with
Cal Penn.
Cal Penn.
Who was apparently in town as well.
Yes, everyone was there. Maybe he was there at with Drake and company on Monday night.
Maybe. I heard a bunch of guys went to the show after. Raw.
WWE guys.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, the Usos then came out. Did you get to hear their new theme here live?
I did. Yes,
I really like this theme
a
lot.
I was mistaken last week.
Yes, this was I really like their theme. I think it's a great change. The Usos took on Ty Dillinger and Sami Zayn. Dillinger came out first, got a really big reaction, as did Zayn. Jay pulled Jimmy out of the way from an early haluva kick. They went through a commercial. And it's kind of interesting because on Raw, you just have... It's very notable when they go to commercial. And on SmackDown, there's select matches that they still air during the commercial break.
Yes.
So you don't get that...
picture-in-picture, yes.
Yeah, you don't get kind of a pace adjustment.
I would say you still kind of do. Like, you can always tell when they go to the outside.
Yeah.
But
I guess they're cognizant of it. But I think it's less... Maybe less notable to a live viewer than it would be Raw, where it's very obvious, the dive spot and just kind of stalling till they come back. There were stomps in the corner to 10 chants. This was after Dillinger got the hot tag, and Phillips even noting that he's from nearby St. Catharines, not doing the Bobby Roode and just, he's from Toronto.
Yeah. They usually say Niagara Falls, but...
Yeah, well, he's from all over the place, I guess. There was a forearm from the floor, which stopped a Dillinger dive, but then Zayn hit a Tope Con Hero. Jay kicked out of a sit-out Dominator, blind tag by Jimmy, and Ty is going for the tiebreaker. When Jimmy stops him with the kick, they clip the knee, and Jimmy applies the Tequila Sunrise to beat Ty Dillinger and Sami Zayn. So the Canadians lose.
Yeah.
Downer maybe to some in the crowd, but the Usos are the tag title challengers.
That is right. Dillinger was by far the most over in the match. This crowd, I think, still really loves the 10 thing. I mean, if you remember the takeover that took place in Toronto, I believe Dillinger was like a major attraction on that show.
It was him and Roode on that show.
Right, that's right, yes. So crowd, I thought it was really smart to build up to the hot tag for Ty instead of building it up for Zayn. And crowd really wanted to see Ty and Sami win, but they didn't get it.
Is Sami Zayn going to be on the SummerSlam card?
I don't think so.
There's also no Mike Kanellis or Maria on the
actually,
show.
It depends. The show is 6 hours. Do we know if it's a 2-hour take?
I don't know 100% if it's a 2-hour kickoff. I mean, last year it was, so I presume this year it is. Regardless, you have minimum 5 hours.
These two might get a match, but I could see them getting cut out.
They're already up to, after tonight, 11 matches, and that's without the Ambrose-Rollins match, so that's 12. It's loaded up pretty quick, and it's not... I mean, it's a kickoff at best.
Yeah.
Zayn and Kanellis could be involved in something. Afterwards, the Usos cut a promo. They were mocking the New Day. The New Day came out. Actually, just Big E came out because then Kofi and Xavier Woods jumped them from behind. They sent Jay shoulder first into the post, grabbed a series of chairs, and then Jay pulled Jimmy away to avoid the chair attack, and they fled the scene. Renee interviewed Randy Orton, who said that Jinder Mahal will be without the Singh brothers tonight, and he won't get away like he has in the past. Another classic Renee-Randy interaction.
Yeah, and this audience was already booing Randy pretty hard here, simply because he was an antagonist to Jinder tonight.
We had another Fashion Peaks, which clearly they're going to ride out this one.
Yeah, I think it's worth doing for another week, seeing all the buzz that they got.
The board had Let's Rock, Bob Holly Drive, Elephant Man with a picture of Cena, and Wild Samoans at Heart. So our Twin Peaks listeners can all inform us what those mean. Tyler Breeze is with the Ascension, describing his dream from last week, and there's pie and donuts on the table. The Ascension take the pie and leave, and then he looks into the mirror and Fandango is behind him, and he stands there with a tie around his head. Hopes it doesn't take... Tyler says he hopes it doesn't take 18 episodes for him to return to normal.
That was another Twin Peaks reference, I assume?
And a spoiler.
Oh, yes.
Huge spoiler. Come on, I was going to watch this. It's been on my tape, my VHS since 1990. I was going to watch them. Now he's ruined those 18 episodes.
You can't watch anymore.
Fandango says he was abducted by aliens. Talked about anal probes, which he meant to say wardrobes. And he can see into the future and says the next person to walk through that door is the man who destroyed Tully. Now, this is a bit of my OCD, but they did. The last time that Raw and SmackDown were in Toronto back-to-back nights was in 2001. And on the SmackDown, they did an angle where the Alliance was in their locker room, and Steve Austin said, the next person to walk through that door, I'm going to face tonight. And Rob Van Dam walked through the door, and the place went insane.
Wow. You have quite the memory.
I was there for that show. So
I was there too, actually. That was my first SmackDown.
You did not talk to me once that night.
I didn't know you.
So the person to destroy Tully, I thought this was very funny. Arn Anderson walks in, and he says, I did destroy him. You should have named him Arn. I was the horse of that group. And he takes the donuts and leaves. Fandango says their work has just begun, and we're left with to be continued. I thought this was fun, especially with the Arn cameo.
Oh, you liked it this week.
I didn't get the first half at all, but I know some people will, and I did get the Horseman stuff.
I really like being there live. As far as I could tell, I don't know how many people caught any of the Twin Peaks references, especially some of the children that were sitting around me. I doubt the 8-year-old with the New Day shirt was laughing at any of the Twin Peaks references. But they found things like anal probe funny, and of course Arn being in there always got a very good reaction.
Charlotte versus Lana. There was a WWE.com video from last week of Lana praising Tamina and wants to fight like her.
But a more charming and beautiful version of her.
She says she's more charismatic and ravishing than Tamina, and then made the challenge to Charlotte. So the match begins, and Charlotte is just looking at Lana like a joke. She's mocking her, and then she says, "This is my ring. Come on, mister." And I thought, did she just call her mister? And I rewound this several times. And then I posted this. And I was hit with a barrage of people saying, she said sister. I was like, there's no way. And I went back and I listened to this like 3 times. I was like, it sounds like mister. So I went to the ultimate test. I was wasting a lot of time. I closed captioned this thing.
Oh my God.
And it said sister. And I had to admit defeat. But you listen to this way?
Well, fact checkers exist for a reason.
Well, it's out there. Here.
I don't care about this enough.
I think I deleted it, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I trust you.
Match went 2 minutes and 24 seconds. Lana pulled down Charlotte's shorts by mistake at one point. And one dude stood up like he was just stunned at this. And it ended with... There was actually a chance of thank you, Lana, during this match.
Yeah.
I guess for pulling her shorts down?
No, either that or just being hot, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Big boot, figure 8, and Charlotte won in 2:24.
Yep. Just to kind of set up a Lana storyline. Charlotte right now
The
really...
storyline is Lana sucks.
Yeah. And Charlotte really, has nothing going on, and who knows if she'll even be on.
You're right. We were stating last week that you would figure her SummerSlam program would have been figured out this week.
Yeah, she'll be on the show, I'm sure, but
there's
no
nothing
storyline.
teased. There's it's just throwing something together to get her on the show.
Same with Becky.
They have nothing. So I don't know what they're going to be doing
Tag match
on the show. Sure, why not? Shane McMahon came out, big chant for Shane, and he thanks Toronto for that. And then he brings out Kevin Owens and AJ Styles, who just felt like huge stars to this audience. And immediately they're dueling back and forth with chants for Styles and Owens. And Owens apologizes for what he said to Shane last week. He's not worried about Shane screwing him in their match because we've already had a McMahon screw over a legendary Canadian for a title before. The crowd went nuts for this. And a big chant of "you screwed Brett," and then Owens waits for it and says, of course, he deserved it, and totally turned the audience around.
Brilliant.
This was
Loved
great.
it.
He asks Shane how he can't be biased over what AJ did to him a few months ago, pulling up a clip of the limousine attack from back in March when AJ threw Shane through the window. And Shane kind of shrugs his shoulders like, yeah, he did do that. And Styles admits he wasn't happy when Shane was made referee, and he doesn't trust anyone, especially McMahon, but Shane says, I don't operate like my other family members. Owens says, I've done my research, and he has footage of another time Shane was a referee from 19 years ago. In 1998, when Shane McMahon, who doesn't even look like the Shane McMahon you're seeing in the ring today, ran in during a Steve Austin Mankind match at the Survivor Series and held up his 2 count and gave him Austin the middle finger.
Yeah, this is wonderful.
And Owens worked this into a network plug.
There was lots of laughter when he played that clip and when Shane did the cliched pro wrestling swerve with the middle finger. It was a lot of fun.
Styles suggests they do this match now, but Owens says, I'd rather face you in a city that actually matters. They got into a shoving match. Owens nailed him. Styles goes for a Pele kick, but misses Owens and takes out Shane with the kick. And Owens leaves laughing as the crowd chanted, you screwed Shane. A great segment. And Owens did a fantastic job.
Owens was fantastic. And I think he knows how to get on a Torontonian's nerve. You know what I mean? Being from Quebec.
I would love to see SmackDown in Montreal to see if he would still go and try and turn that crowd.
Oh, without a doubt, he would.
Because he was not booked as a babyface on the house show on the weekend. He got this big spot coming to the rescue of Pat Patterson.
Sorry, he was booked as a babyface.
Sorry, was booked as a babyface at the house show in Montreal, where, I mean, that guy, like him and Zayn are big celebrities in Montreal.
That was a house show.
It's a house show, granted, but there's also, I don't think that audience would turn on Owens regardless.
I mean, there's something where, like, I think everybody in attendance liked Kevin Owens, especially even in Toronto, but we love him because he's such a dick. And I think the audience would continue to play along if he were to say scathing lines like he said tonight, even in Montreal.
Lana was in the locker room. She's upset over her loss, and Tamina walks in, and Lana expects her to gloat, admits she failed tonight, and Tamina says Lana will never wrestle like her, but says Tamina will never be as ravishing as her. And Tamina says, now you've had your opportunities, and you're going to help me get my title shot.
So finally showing some backstory between these two. I guess they're helping each other because they both fulfill kind of each other's qualities that they're missing.
There's more going on involving Tamina and Lana than Charlotte and Becky at the moment.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, they're getting more airtime. Yes.
Naomi took on Carmella, non-title match. Naomi has now incorporated the slide on her knees into the slap.
Oh, okay, yes. She does that, yeah. Her entrance is very impressive live.
Yes.
Yeah.
Carmella took the slap, and then there was an abrupt commercial break. No throw, it just went to commercial. Came back, Natalia's watching backstage, Carmella's attacking the neck. Naomi hit these rapid-fire kicks and a flying jawbreaker that, I don't know, didn't look smooth. Naomi stopped on the top turnbuckle, got pulled by the hair, and then James Ellsworth appeared from underneath the ring, shoved Naomi off the turnbuckle, and Carmella super kicked her and won the match.
Not a very good match.
No.
Unfortunately. But this crowd throughout it was chanting, "We want Ellsworth." And I don't know if they maybe saw him beforehand or not, but Ellsworth showed up and he received a huge reaction. It was really a perfect crowd to do his return in front of.
It's amazing that of the two disappearing acts, it was Ellsworth that got the chance and not Dolph Ziggler.
I don't know if people care as much about Dolph compared to...
Which is crazy if you think about a few years ago.
Well, James Ellsworth really has been, I think, very entertaining, being in this role in the women's division. That's more than I could say for Dolph Ziggler as of late.
Carmella and James are backstage. They walk into Natalya, who calls James chinless and a turtle face, warns them to stay out of her business at SummerSlam, and threatens to give Carmella a chin like James, which I don't know how you would do that. That would take some unique, targeted offense. So anyway, they jokingly say that they're counting on Natalya winning and wish her luck, with the idea that they could cash in if Natalya wins. Mm-hmm. Renee did a sit-down with Shinsuke Nakamura, and this was a produced sit-down, and for the better. I was watching this interview thinking, if this just aired straight, I think it would have fallen very flat. And I wonder if it was a decision after the fact to add the B-roll, the music, and keep these to much shorter sound bites, because they worked.
Certainly, yep.
Said Cena has been the measuring stick. He's been the guy, but I beat him. He cannot describe what it was like to stand in the ring with Cena. Says it's his destiny at SummerSlam. And tonight he watches Maharaja Jinder Mahal. And I like that he called him by that full name. And the Nakamura dynasty will begin. So
yeah,
short, quick sound bites worked much more effectively here.
Definitely. And I continue to find it quite interesting to see them try to figure out ways to get this guy's personality out there in ways that they typically can't rely on, because typically I guess they would have guys be able to cut promos. But because Nakamura has limited English, it's nice to see them try to figure out alternate ways to get him to get his personality out there. The B-roll, I think was very effective. Having music underneath to emphasize, just like every trick in the book.
So what we should do for this show.
Put music
Let's
underneath
make it 3
this.
minutes.
Yeah, sure. Maybe some strings. Multiple takes, I'm sure, maybe even to, so that he can effectively say what they want him to say. I thought it worked definitely better than a regular backstage, interview.
Given the, almost non-existent build for this match. I mean, the story is just Nakamura's the number one contender. There's no issue between the two. There hasn't even been any interaction between the two that I think...
Not to say you necessarily need that. Sometimes just
No, but this is also not a match that just sells itself. It's one that I think needs something outside of just Nakamura's going for the title for the first time. Right. That I feel almost certain that there's going to be some kind of... this program will extend beyond SummerSlam. I don't think you're getting a Nakamura title win, and you're probably not getting a clean finish in this, would be my guess. So Jinder and Randy Orton was the main event, with Phillips explaining that the Singh brothers are injured. They fought on the floor early. There's a back suplex onto the announcer's desk by Orton. Crowd seemed very hot for this.
Jinder was a total babyface. You don't understand. I'm not going to say if it was, but this reminded me of Rock versus Hogan with Hulk Hogan.
Really?
Jinder, meaning in terms of the roles,
okay.
and I guess the Toronto's reaction to what were supposed to be the baby faces and the heels. Jinder here felt like Hulk Hogan, coming in, and then Orton felt like the big star that everybody was tired of in The Rock.
So they go onto the desk, and Mahal shoves Orton off into the timekeeper's area. We go to the commercial break, and we got one of my favorite News Slam updates ever. As Scott Stanford plugs SmackDown Live coming to Toronto, and then throws to a custom promo from John Cena, who did this. He did a great promo. If I could have bought tickets, I would have, if we weren't in the main event of the show. And he was clearly told, SmackDown, Toronto, it's called the ACC. And he just did this whole promo stating those terms, who was going to be there, and says, see you at the AC, see you there. See what I did there? It was so goofy, but he was so into this promo for the SmackDown tapings. Jinder was in control when they came back. Orton hit a fallaway slam, punches on the turnbuckle, then Mahal hit a flying knee. And then Byron Saxton brings up an interview that Randy Orton did in 2012 predicting that Jinder Mahal would be a top star.
Interesting.
But says he couldn't envision it would be like this. Orton hits a draping DDT, sets up for the RKO. Mahal counters that with a roll-up, then nails Orton with a kick, sets him up for the Colossus, but Orton counters that with the RKO, and he pins Jinder Mahal.
Surprising finish. Yeah.
So, I mean, we talked about Randy Orton getting nothing after Battleground and just moving on. This certainly curbed that, but also comes at a time when that's not a match you're building to. That's not going anywhere, nor is it a program anyone wants coming out of SummerSlam.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess this was some closure for Randy as a protected top babyface, but also I just think it was the Great Khali not being utilized for anything. It's just created this gap where I think they felt they had to give Randy something, and a clean win over Jinder was what they gave him.
I really didn't think it was necessary. I don't think it even provides that closure because I felt like Randy moving on provided enough closure. You know what I mean? Like, we had already known both men's next opponents. I don't think anybody would have cared about the results either way, but I still wouldn't have beaten Jinder. I never like it when champions take clean losses, especially in a town that reacted so well to Jinder.
Like, I think it could have been much better if last week or 2 weeks ago, Khali has left and Jinder pretty much throws the Singh brothers to Orton, and he murders those two. And that's your injury angle to explain this, them being gone. But it just felt more than Orton needed, which I know is kind of hypocritical because last week I was talking about the fact he had nothing coming out of that program. But it just feels as though this was... Like, this builds to a rematch that I have no interest in.
I feel like last week everybody had already moved on from this, and to go back to this to try to wrap it up by giving Randy this non-title win, it felt like it was too late. You know what I mean? But the reaction for Jinder was really quite astounding throughout the evening, and to the point where like Maharaja chants were very deafening throughout the commercial breaks. The weirdest, most awkward though was like the crowd chanting Jinder Mahal to the melody of Seven Nation Army.
Yeah,
and we're not even a soccer country, so anyway, Randy eventually went along with it, kind of taunting the crowd, especially for the DDT spot and things like that. So it was. I think Jinder should have really won in this match, but
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean, it came across on TV like the audience was into Jinder. I wouldn't say like a crazy reaction, but it sounds like it was live. That almost Jinder winning and that crowd exploding, I think would have helped Jinder going into this Nakamura match because
even if it was by nefarious means,
he's not a character that has a ton of momentum. I think that there's a certain novelty that this guy is getting pushed at this level, and I think there's a uniqueness to him.
And even in Toronto, they're reacting to him like he's a real star.
Yeah, they did.
Oh.
So anyway, we have one more week to go. I guess live, this sounded like a pretty fun episode of SmackDown.
I was honestly surprised that we had already gotten to the main event by the time that occurred.
Oh, can't say that about Raw.
No, it definitely can't. But I think maybe it's a combination of the fact that the show was 2 hours, maybe because there's so much going on in between commercial breaks when you're there live that the time flies by a lot quicker. I can't say the same for 205 Live, though.
This was every other 205 Live we've ever discussed. And what was the traffic like as the Toronto audience left and the dead crowd came in?
This was my first 205 Live, I think. I think it was my first 205
And you
Live.
didn't 205 leave?
I did not 205 leave, but it's my first time seeing the Exodus in between SmackDown and 205 Live. First of all, they announced that we would get the dark match, so stick around because you'll see Shinsuke Nakamura.
Were they on their
AJ
knees
Styles
praying
wrestle.
as they made this announcement?
No, they weren't. But that didn't stop, I would say, a good 20 to 25% of the people from leaving. So you could definitely start seeing patches,
10 o'clock, it's late,
seats. Well, people just didn't care enough.
Well, 205 Live.
But still a decent amount of people still there.
Yeah, I mean, how full was the arena? Did it look
It looked pretty full. I think there's the bottom deck definitely seemed pretty full. The top deck was maybe kind of a bit more spotty, with the camera side completely curtained off. Yeah.
205 Live began with Tony Nese coming out, and he's doing this new thing where he talks on the ramp as he's coming out and describes his body, counts his abs, and is talking as he walks down the aisle. He took on Cedric Alexander. Alexander sent Nese to the floor and hit a moonsault off the apron. Nese draped him on the top turnbuckle, kicked him off the turnbuckle onto his shoulders for a gut buster, and Corey Graves said that kick was so impressive that he just got a text from his friend who is a scout for the Toronto Argonauts. They were that impressed with Nese's kicking. Nese then does his crunches, kicking Alexander in the Tree of Woe position. Alexander came back with an enziguri off the apron, springboard clothesline, and Nese caught him and hit a pump handle into a Michinoku driver. Crowd was dead for this. Clothesline and kip up by Nese, spinning back elbow from Alexander. There were a series of roll-ups, ending with Nese grabbing the trunks for the win in 7 minutes and 20 seconds.
I thought there was a good reaction for Nese's kind of ab pedaling spot in the corner. But beyond that, I thought the match had a tough job of following what came before it with Jinder Mahal and Randy Orton for this crowd because it just seemed so unimportant. It felt like we were sitting through a very long commercial break in between the SmackDown main event and the Nakamura Dark match coming up.
Nese got on the microphone on the ramp, says that you just saw an example of a great athlete and a premier athlete, and says Cedric does take care of his body better than these schlubs in the crowd, but he'll always be second best when Tony Nese is around. Dasha interviewed Brian Kendrick, who recapped the Jack Gallagher attack from last week during their match. Kendrick just laughs it off, says Gallagher doesn't have what it takes. He had a chance to fight him face-to-face, and he found his way out like a coward with that disqualification. He is a clown, and it doesn't matter if Jack showed a vicious streak because Kendrick won the match, and he's moving on now. And then Gallagher attacks him from behind with taped fists, and Gallagher was just standing there fuming as he attacked Kendrick. This was week
no reaction. No reaction to this live.
Noam Dar returned after his loss in the I Quit match and starts addressing his opponent, Mark Thomas. He says, I used to watch you as a kid. Oh, those Mark Thomas DVDs on High Spots. He asks if he's still chasing his dream. Says, I can't relate. I'm only 24 years old and already a star. And he calls this a tune-up match and a big opportunity for the legendary Mark Thomas. Graves mocks the tan of Thomas, and Dar just attacks him with strikes, elbows, a running European uppercut, and an enziguri for the win in 1:47.
At this point, they had announced that the dark match coming up next was now going to be a street fight.
Oh!
So please don't leave.
Funny that everyone in the building thought it was taking place on the street. They were going to get their seats. Corey Graves was inside the ring. He probably got the biggest reaction of anyone on this show. The announcer.
Probably the biggest star on the show.
He welcomes Akira Tozawa to come out for a sit-down chat. The crowd was doing the chant for Tozawa. Graves notes that Tozawa has put both Arya Daivari and his shoulder injury behind him. So he's got rid of both those distractions.
Both in the hyperbaric chamber.
I wish that's how rehabilitation truly worked. I'm done with you, knee injury. We're moving on. And he's going into SummerSlam with momentum when Neville interrupts to stall that momentum. Crowd seemed to like Neville.
Yes, definitely. Good reaction for him.
He asks what Graves is doing to his show, and he's interviewing the challenger. He says he is the hype. He is 205 Live, and Tozawa is not competition. He has his back to Tozawa, who starts taking off his suit jacket, and says he's here to save the WWE from Tozawa's pathetic use of English, and then asks Neville how he will feel when he beats him for the title, goes to attack him, and Tozawa nails him with a kick. Neville rolls away from a senton, tries to run back, and gets knocked off the apron to end the segment.
Both men here, I felt, were well liked by this audience, and they both received a good reaction. I think of everybody on the show, and rightfully so, these two were the only two that I think the crowd gave a shit about.
Main event was the Battle of Friends, TJP and Rich Swann.
Yeah.
Swann quickly went to the rope as TJP is attempting a knee bar, and the story throughout the beginning was that each knows the other so well that they've scouted one another, and this is a stalemate. Mm-hmm. Swann hit a jumping leg drop. TJP was in the corner, caught him with a jumping uppercut and a Hurricane Rana from the mat. TJP then rolled through and got a knee bar, but Swann gets out, hits a spinning wheel kick, and then this cartwheel into a standing moonsault. That gets a 2 count. Went for a Phoenix Splash, missed, and TJP hit the double chicken wing slam, caught him on his shoulders with an electric chair, dropping him on the top turnbuckle, and then followed with the detonation kick, and once again beat Rich Swann at 10 minutes and 30 seconds. But after the match, TJP is gloating, he dabbed, and they leave going up the ramp together, and TJP even does Swann's dance as he goes to the back, looking like a total fool. And then backstage, Perkins asks if he's a sore loser, and Swann doesn't like the way he acted. And Swann says, or TJP says, "I was just joking. I thought you could handle this." And TJP is standing there as Swann says, "I can see who you really are." And the show ended.
Yes.
Wow.
Good match. This feud continues. Anyway.
I don't know why anyone outside of watching wrestling would love this. Like, it's just a match. A match you get every week. No stakes, nothing important. They have labeled it a friendly competition. There is no stakes for these two going into SummerSlam. That, how could you get into this? Even if the wrestling is good, which, I mean, it was fine, but not...
To me,
great.
It's them filling content time for the network, and that's all I can see this as. Same with main event. I see these two things on the same level. The fact that they put it on after SmackDown shows that they probably don't care that much about crowd reactions for it. They just want to create that content that they can put up on the network to increase the value of that network afterwards. So I'm not going to watch next week. We forgot to mention that Rusev, at the end of SmackDown, came out as Randy was coming up the ramp and kicked Randy in the face.
Well, I didn't see that because my DVR ended.
Yeah.
It ended with Randy there.
Right.
So I never saw him.
Yeah, so Rusev came out, kicked Randy, and they went to black. They didn't continue the beatdown or anything like last week. It was just kind of, that was the last visual.
I totally did not see that.
The dark match last night was a Toronto street fight between Kevin Owens, Baron Corbin versus Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ. Heels came out, Nakamura made his entrance, and then mid-entrance, the heels ganged up and attacked Nakamura. And I think everybody was thankful because, yeah, as much as we love Nakamura's entrance, we have to wrap things up before 11 o'clock, and that's what they did. They had a match. It was relatively safe, a lot of brawling outside the ring. The 205 Live graphics are still up throughout the entire thing. Purple ropes, everything like that.
Yeah, apparently Kevin Owens yelled out, "Why are these ropes purple?"
Owens was very entertaining. He definitely stole the show as much as he stole the show during the talking segment earlier. He did the Nakamura taunt, a Fry Takayama spot from Owens and AJ.
Oh, what a nice tribute.
Yeah. Nakamura, the lighting guys at this point are packing up. They're a dumpster fire chant. Owens took off Nakamura's shirt, teases throwing it into the crowd, but then just drops it in front of it.
He's awesome.
He
live.
is so much fun, especially I'm sure at house shows and in these dark match situations where he can wrestle very loosely and just like do what he does, have fun with the crowd, and he certainly did that. Chairs got involved. Corbin, basically, they set up a table in the corner. Corbin misses his spear. He crashes in. Kinshasa, faces win. We're gone before 11 o'clock.
Well, there you go. That was SmackDown and 205 Live and a dark match, completing 2 consecutive nights in Toronto. So at this point, we'll go to the message board to get your feedback.
Yeah. Do we have time, Suzanne, or should we save this? Yeah, we can. Okay. Let's do the feedback. Yeah.
All right. Let us start off here from Armbar. He mentions Ty losing in his home province. Nice of Charlotte to be a good sport and laugh off her wardrobe malfunction. Mentions Orton getting his win back. The Singh brothers are supposed to be out due to injury. More believable if they were arranging a Jinder promotional tour of India. Naomi really impressing me with some flashy new moves. Still needs some polish, but it's good to see her trying to improve her moveset. Hard to believe Carmella is a heel. She's always smiling and genuinely thrilled to be showcased like a less talented Bayley. I think Carmella is actually a very good heel. I think she's been less emphasized since winning the Money in the Bank briefcase. I mean, she was really standing out during that whole post Money in the Bank and setting up the rematch with that promo that week. But I think she's kind of the focus right now with the briefcase.
She is. I think her wrestling really has to kind of improve in order for her to get that top spot and have the matches that I think the division is starting to become known for. She has a long ways to go.
Naomi, I'd say the same, though. I mean, she's a level below, too.
Yeah, I agree. We got a Lay who says, it was my first time watching the Fashion Files and I really enjoyed watching Arn Anderson. What a great performance by him. Much respect to the Canadian fans these last 2 days. I used to make fun of Canadians just like most Americans, but they earned my respect for their enthusiasm for wrestling and combat sports, like the Mayweather press conference. In the end, we are all North Americans.
Well, what a great coming together that wrestling has provided, Lay. Doug from Chicago, what was up with Corbin's entrance music? I thought Mordecai was coming out at the beginning. I did like the Arn Anderson cameo with the Fashion Police. Do you like the changes to multiple superstars' music and production? I cannot remember a time they did this much tinkering. Well, I don't mind what they've added to Rollins thing off the top.
I think all the changes have been positive.
Yeah, so I love the Usos theme. I think it's great.
I think Corbin's entrance never really did anything for me prior, and I can't say this one was worse.
This one's just, to me, lateral.
Maybe they need some lyrics.
Maybe. Yeah. With Baron's voice.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right, we got a Michael from Orange County who wants to know, with Cena's WWE schedule recently leaked, it shows him appearing on the Raw after SummerSlam. How do you think this affects the outcome in the Baron Corbin match, and who does he go on to feud with?
I could see a scenario where he beats Corbin and that sets him up to do, because he is advertised for the Raw pay-per-view in September. So it would make sense that you're immediately going to shoot that program the night after SummerSlam, and you're in a hot city like Brooklyn to do something. You might get, fans will react big to him showing up on Raw for the first time in more than a year. So I imagine he could beat Corbin.
Yeah. You can go either way with that one.
I don't think Cena should be losing again so soon after the Nakamura loss.
I don't think it even hurts him if he did lose, though.
You could do that, but just knowing where they kind of view the briefcase winner,
right?
I think you want to give Cena maybe a win back.
Yeah.
And I don't think it really hurts.
I agree with you.
Mark from Vaughan. What were your thoughts on the audience reactions for this show? And from a TV point of view, did it seem like a hotter crowd than Raw? Well, it's hard to compare live because we didn't go to both shows.
I would say probably similar.
Yeah.
Toronto was...
I mean, the crowd stayed into Raw the whole time. Like, it kept, I think, everyone's energy level up. The fact that you had such a hot crowd and the last man standing match put at the end of the show instead of the second hour.
We go to JT and Callie. Why should I cheer for the New Day for attacking the Usos from behind with a 3-on-2 advantage and attempted concerto? I get the payback, but didn't seem like a babyface move to me.
They were getting revenge. They were jumped from behind last week, and they came back. I think it makes a babyface look much weaker if they don't have revenge in mind and just sit there and take it. Next one here. I was disappointed that Jinder did not cut a promo. I was really hoping that Jinder would cut the same promo Brett did in 1997 where he buried the United States. It was they don't want Jinder to be a babyface in Canada, and his promos are all geared towards kind of...
See, they don't want Jinder to be a babyface. Why did they get him to do all the media prior?
I think there's a big separation there of guys that they will send out there that...
Same with Owens.
Yeah, I don't think they view their public personas as baby faces or heels. It's
understood.
Just who would the media want to hear from?
Understood.
And Canadian makes sense.
Right, understood. But the effect when you go to the live show is, hey, I saw this guy on TV. I know he's a Canadian. I've identified with his life story. I'm going to cheer for him when he's there, when I see him live.
Is that any different from sending a guy around to do all the media and for those exact same reasons, you then just have them lose in their hometown?
Sorry, what do you mean?
They look at that as, you have somebody
Right.
that goes in their hometown, does all the media, that has that connection with the local market.
I mean, the real argument that there's some disjointedness there.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily see a problem of Jinder being...
I don't see a problem either, but if they don't want positive reactions to the guy, they're going to get that.
Yeah, but you can't just change around your character's direction for one night. I don't see a problem with it. It's like, why...
Okay.
It's one week. It's like, why... Same reason you make Kevin Owens a heel in Toronto.
It just doesn't make sense to me,
You're broadcasting to a national audience that he's a heel to.
Uh-huh. I understand that. It's just you're telling me that they don't want him cheered. Well, he's going to get cheered when he's doing all the press in your local market.
I don't think they. What I'm saying is that the cheers come, but like for him to do a promo, first of all, it's like his promo. It's so heavily on the United States that it's hard to just do that promo and transfer it to Canada. I just think they avoided it altogether, and that's why he didn't do a promo. I think you're next.
Okay, we go to Shruby, who wants to know, with this whole TJP Swan feud, I heard WWE hype up this rematch so much because their first match from a few weeks ago was their match of the year contender. I want to believe this, but I have literally heard zero people outside of WWE talk about that match as anything special. Did you see that match? And if so, was it any good? Or is this just a similar situation to WWE pretending like Triple H and Brock had good matches?
They did have a very good match. I thought the I Quit match involving Cedric and Noam Dar was better. But no, the first match with Swan and Perkins from a few weeks ago I thought was a very, very good match. But again, hampered by the crowd. But better than this one this week. And that is it. That is all of our feedback. So we're going to wrap things up. Wai Ting and I will be back on Friday. As we mentioned, we are reviewing SummerSlam from 1999. Headlined by Steve Austin, Mankind, and Triple H for the WWF title. Yep. We have a Kiss My Ass match, a Lion's Den match, a hardcore title match. So much excitement.
Got a lot of great stuff.
From Minneapolis, Minnesota.
It's really good.
August of 99.
Yep.
Wai is excited. Well, we are going to chat about that on Friday. We've also got a new What's Next out on Thursday, new MMA report, and then Sunday night, It Is the Law at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. So goodbye. Whether you downloaded the show, watched on YouTube, or you just illegally pirated the show somehow, we thank you.
Maybe you're spying on us right now.
It could be. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
SmackDown.